Shine! Bring it! Let the mountains veins boil! Yield! Grant us your blessing! Your evasion was futile. Do your work! The eye sweeps the land! Lightning, echoing sound! Hear the echoes of the valley! Inferior! Flee! We shall prevent... How dare you! Only emptiness.
It's time for the Furina Rerun, and naturally the big question is, should you get her? Yes, but basically the same hesitation I have to recommending Nilan this year is also why I'm not 100% gung-ho in recommending Furina, and it's because we're currently in the Nod-Krai cycle. Without knowing anything about any upcoming reactions, with the rumor being that there's going to be some more lunar reactions involving Hydro, if the pattern of the current lunar reactions continues ahead, it's entirely likely that damage percent will remain mostly not useful, with the possible exception of Lunar Vape if that turns out to be a thing. The thing is, Columbina is quite likely going to be playable, and between the strong lunar reaction pattern as we're currently understanding it and the prevalence of power creep, I suspect she's going to be a stronger Hydro off-fielder than Furina, especially in these lunar teams. Who knows, maybe she'll be the Hydro off-fielder who can give the team an EM buff, which might be an interesting dynamic for various vape teams like with Moika. But that's only why I'm not 100% recommending everyone who doesn't have Furina yet to get Furina, because meanwhile, I still hold Furina as one of, if not the currently strongest support character in the game. And why is that? Well, she has off-field Hydro damage and app in the form of Salon Solitaire. It's a skill-based Hydro app, so ER isn't needed for her to be able to just simply function. This Hydro app and damage follows the on-fielder and attacks nearby enemies, and it doesn't require normal attacks in order to be triggered, so that's very useful for even more characters. Mademoiselle Krabaleta can also do some very solid numbers, but Suretadan Chevrolet apparently does the most DPS out of the three. She also produces a massive damage buff. This is based on how much of a percentage of the team's HP goes up and down. Each percentage generates something called fanfare. We currently can max out her fanfare at 75% damage percent at a crown ult, that's 300 fanfare without Constellations. The flip side is that she'll be able to drain the entire team's HP over time when Salon Solitaire attacks, but that is also kind of useful for characters who can't drain their own HP but they want to use something like Marashose Hunter. Between the team HP drain and the damage percent buff based on how much percent of the team's HP goes up and down, Furina is usually best paired with Team White healers. But you don't have to use a Team White healer. There are actually quite a handful of single target healers who can work absolutely perfectly fine with her, namely Shilinen, C4 Dori, and actually Shinobu. She also technically has a bit of team healing in her kit that comes from anyone getting overflow healing, and the Singer of Many Seas, which is the alternative to Salon Solitaire, continues to exist as another way to heal the on-fielder. But it's always been thanks to what she can do that she's been easily one of the most versatile characters in the game. Being Hydro definitely helps, as Hydro has, I think, the most archetypes available, and up until version 5.8, the introduction of Lunar Charge of course, Furina was borderline perfect in every single one of them. However, today, with the two lunar reactions we currently have available, apparently Constellated Ino is a stronger pick over Furina for someone like Flynn's or upcoming Nefer. So I would be surprised and shocked if Columbina doesn't also take that role away from Furina in the future. So if you know for a fact that you're more interested in the newer characters, probably due to the prevalence of power creep, I wouldn't recommend Furina. But if you're interested in the rest of the cast of characters, then I highly recommend Furina. And that's assuming you won't be able to acquire both. If you know for a fact you can get both Furina and Columbina because let's say you've saved that many Primo Gems, or maybe you work full time and you're a little bit of a spender, then yeah, once again, I would highly recommend Furina. She remains really, really strong. Hello everyone, welcome back. So, that's pretty much my opinion on the matter. For the rest of the video, we'll go through the usual things of teams and builds and all of that stuff. So before we continue, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll be real here, I don't really know what I'm going to be talking about during this next patch because I'm not really interested in getting Nefer and all that stuff. Maybe I'll find something interesting to say, like for example how Nefer's signature is somehow Lisa's new best in slot weapon. I have some thoughts on this. It kind of drives me insane with how this works, but anyway, between that, various live streams, Spiral Abyss, Stygian Onslaught, and theater runs, if you ring that bell icon, you can be notified of the latest videos on the channel. Oh, hyping this video will also help greatly with the algorithm, and I think we're due for a Warframe update like next week, or this week even, so maybe I'll actually lean towards that a little bit more for this foreseeable future. We'll just have to see. Furina's last rerun was in version 5.4, so let's have a look at what's new for her. Mizuki, for all her faults, is a healer. Her ult makes snacks that heal the on-fielder, but she is, I think, a single target healer. She does have the Bennett cringe though, where if the target is above 70% HP, the snack no longer heals it just does damage. I don't know. Look, I don't have Mizuki. I don't really hold her at a high regard at this present moment. Maybe she's okay for a Furina team. Let me know in the comments if you've been able to succeed with her. Varessa and Yansan can form a team with Furina that's arguably one of Varessa's best, mainly with Shenyun or hell, even Shillanen. Not my personal favorite Varessa team, honestly, but it's still pretty damn solid. Freeze comps love Furina, especially because Escoffier is a team healer. Dahlia can also be a perfectly fine third slot if you want. Skirk's premium team pretty much needs Furina in order for it to be the premium team. While she's not the best option, you can run Furina in an Electro or Lunar Charge team with Aoife, Inefa, and or Flynn's. Constellated Ino would probably be preferable, apparently. Similarly, you can run Furina in a Lunar Bloom team with Lauma and or Nefer. Again, Constellated Ino would be preferable, apparently. We'll just have to see if Furina can maintain that level of versatility until her next rerun. Perhaps during SNES Naya, damage reset will be back on the menu as something we care about for the new characters. Hell, maybe it's just the Moonwheel characters with their Lunar Reactions that are somewhat ignoring Furina at the present moment. It's entirely possible that someone like, I don't know, Claire's mum Alice and the rest of the Hexen Circle witches will continue to make Furina relevant again. Now, let's have a look at Furina's teams. There's like 45,000 of them, and each one has 28 different variations and permutations. So instead of spending the next year going through every single one of them, I just want to highlight my top 5 specific Furina teams that I still enjoy playing to this day. Mawika Vape, Mawika, Shillanen, Yansan, Furina. The very reason why I haven't actually bothered to get Sitlali for myself. I have perfected a setup rotation that gets both Mawika and Furina to be fully buffed by the Scroll Artifact set. Mawika skill into Furina skill ult and charge attack to bring out the singer. Then we go into Shilladen skill ult and 2 normal attacks with a slight delay on the second one so that we can get a Pyro Crystallize as well. Furina charge attack in order to get back the Salon Solitaire. Yansan skill ult, Mawika ult with a slight delay for Symphonist of Sense, and then we just start donating or doing various other combos. During your second rotation, you don't even have to use Furina's skill into ult. You could just actually go straight into ult and charge attack and bring out the Singer of Many Seas because her skill lasts for a very long time. It's a rotation where you're doing maximum pyro and hydro damage against enemies that have those elements res shredded. This remains probably my most strongest team so far. The second team is, of course, Neuvillette. Now, of all the various Neuvillette teams that exist with Furina, I think my favorite is still going to be the Neuvillette team. Neuvillette, Shilladen, Kazuha, Furina. Absolute maximum Neuvillette and Furina damage, with C2 Shilladen that I have buffing both of them. It's pretty brain dead to play. It's very, very straightforward. It helps that Neuvillette can also be basically a battery for Furina, so that you can always use her burst off cooldown without needing 1,000 ER, I guess. The next team is going to be Quick Bloom Tignani with Tignani, C1 Lauma, Miko, Furina. C1 Lauma seems to be barely enough healing for the most part to almost maximize Furina's fanfare stacks, so that works out for me absolutely perfectly fine. Tignani can't normal attack, so Furina is the perfect hydro for his Quick Bloom teams. The entire team, with the possible exception of Lauma, gets to benefit from the team damage percent buff as well. Thundering Dory is my fourth team. Out of all the variations of Thundering Dory, I think my favorite is still going to be the more old school variant, Nahida, Dory, Fish, or Furina. The entire team, including Dory, gets to benefit from the team damage buff. We also get to on-field C6 Dory for that team healing thus we get that fanfare generation pretty damn quickly. And finally we have Quick Bloom Clorand with Clorand, Baiju, Nahida and Furina. My favorite way to play Clorand remains to be Thundering Fury Clorand, and in order to play a team that fully makes use of TF Clorand, I need characters with skills and buffs that can last for the full duration of 2 uses of Clorand's skill, about 7.5 seconds each, and 1 use of Clorand's ult in the middle, 2 seconds roughly thereabouts. This totals to around about 17 seconds of Clorand uptime. Here's the thing, Salon Solitaire lasts for 30 seconds, Furina's ult lasts for 18 seconds, so due to the team setup, there's going to be a little bit of downtime near the end for Furina's ult, but putting that aside though, because of the massive time that Salon Solitaire lasts for, Furina remains as the only Hydro character who can actually support this kind of playstyle. Has Furina's build changed? Not really. For 5-star weapons, her signature, Key of Kashmir Suit, and Jade Cutter remain the top 3 choices. The rest can be okay stat sticks, maybe. For 4-star weapons, the new Nod-Krai craftable Serenity's Call is actually not bad. You've got low base attack so that you can have heaps of ER, you gotta love that for Furina. There's also 32% HP and R5 for Furina if she can cause an elemental reaction, an additional 32% to total 64% HP if the team is in an Ascendant Gleam. But otherwise, when it comes to the 4-star weapons, just stick with Festering, and if you don't have that, Fluve Sandra Ferryman is pretty much the way to go. If you don't care about Furina's DPS at all, then yeah, you can run Favj instead. When it comes to artifacts, a quick note about Furina's ER. ER is important for her ult. She does tend to need a lot of ER than most other characters though, so look, I have a smidge over 200% these days, and that just seems to be enough for the most of the teams that I play. It is of course way beyond overkill in a double Hydro team, but this is pretty much the level that I would personally recommend. So in terms of artifact sets, just stick with Golden Troop. It's perfectly designed for off-fielders like Furina. Unless you're on-fielding her for reasons we'll discuss later, in which case Mother Chaussee is the way to go. I wouldn't really recommend Knight of the Skies Unveiling even in an Ascendant team, because at the end of the day it actually gives you less crit rate than Mother Chaussee, which Furina can already fully activate herself. You do get some EM as opposed to potentially some normal attack and charge attack bonuses for Furina, but if you're going to be on-fielding Furina, even that is actually kind of useful, so Mother Chaussee is pretty much the way to go. If you don't care about Furina's DPS, i.e. you want to play full support Furina with Favj, then Serenade might actually be a perfectly fine option in an Ascendant team, otherwise Tenacity is pretty much what I would recommend myself. For the artifact substats, I generally stick with ER HP crit. If you're using an ER weapon like Festering, then HP Sands would make the most sense. So long as you can hit that ER threshold, you should be a-okay. And finally we have Furina's Constellations. Now, once again, I really don't feel like you need any of them for her to be really strong. I still have her at C0, and I don't think I've ever felt like she's not pulling her weight. So yeah, I still think Furina is very strong regardless. That being said though, there are some interesting nuances that we can have a look at when it comes to her constellations. C1 gives you some automatic default fanfare whilst increasing the maximum fanfare she can have. Automatic fanfare means automatic damage percent right from the jump, but it also means automatic healing bonus, which is actually really good for Clorand. C2 means that you only have to sneeze a little bit of healing and you'll already maximize fanfare. Clorand healing herself, for example, can actually maximize fanfare for the team. Bennett can actually finally heal just the on-fielder up to 70% HP and still maximize fanfare, no problem. Additional fanfare would convert to more HP for Furina, which does also mean more Furina DPS. C3 is ult levels, C5 is skill levels. Both of them are great unless you don't care about her DPS, in which case C5 is actually worthless. C4 is an energy constellation. This means you don't need to build 200 ER on her. You can generate somewhere between 16 and 20 energy per rotation, depending on how long your rotation is. So for a 60 cost burst, that is actually a pretty big portion that is being restored. And finally we have C6. C6 does a lot of things, and the C6 Furina nerds will tell you all about it. But basically, suffice to say, you get on-field DPS Furina, which you can kind of already do with Furina plus Candace, but on top of that, you get to play Furina as a healer herself, which is kind of big because that basically means you can play what is effectively a healerless Furina team and still maximize fanfare from Furina herself. So that's where we're at with Furina. She's still very, very strong, a very heavily versatile character, highly sought after with a lot of teams. Yeah, she might see a dip in her usefulness during this Nod-Krai cycle if all of the Lunar Reactions and Lunar characters don't care about damage percent, but the moment someone shows up who actually likes damage percent, I think Furina's going to get a huge resurgence again. So if anything, I'd say she's pretty future-proof as well. I highly recommend her because of that. But at the same time, you know, if you want to skip her because Nod-Krai, I think that's a perfectly legitimate reason to do so in favor of, let's say, someone like Columbina. We'll just have to see. Let me know about all this in the comments below. Do you recommend Furina? Are you going to get her? Maybe you already have her. Are you going to go for her Constellations? Or are you going to do what I suspect quite a few people are going to be doing, which is of course saving up Columbina? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more in Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.